Good evening, everybody. Happy holiday. Today is what they call Christmas Day, and that's what we'll be talking about today. But everybody celebrates this day in their own festive way per se. Um, I was really just I started to watch this. A buddy named Awakened Saint, he had posted this more than one time, and I had watched it before, and I felt like I wanted to share it with you guys. Definitely a lot to take in. It's probably not which date, but it's definitely giving you the origins of Christmas, starting far back, and it just kind of works its way up. Um, so I will go ahead and show that. I just wanted to see who's all popping in, see if anybody's going to pop in before I started. But I kind of just wanted to get that going, see if I could say hi to people, say happy holiday to people. I miss y'all. All right, I got this going. We're good. See, where am I? All right, here we are. All right, well, nobody's coming yet. I'm gonna go ahead and start it then. Basically, there's a lot of questions on when Christmas actually was. Was Christmas in the winter, in the summer? Or in the fall? There's many different theories of what Christmas is, where it started, why it started. So we're gonna look into that. Let's check it out. God bless y'all. Let's go. Hi, what's up, Letitia? What's up?
That there are many people who don't really understand what Christmas is really about and where it comes from. There are millions of atheists, agnostics, and even a lot of Christians who have really been misinformed as to what Christmas is really about. If you want to be able to share the true meaning of Christmas, it's vitally important to thoroughly understand its history. So what I want to do is I want to take us through a walk through the history of Christmas, its many traditions, which most of us have pretty much grown up to love. This you can all follow along in the dictionary, history books, world religion textbooks, the scriptures, the church fathers, pretty much all the major religion or all the different denominations will admit these things readily, some of them very proudly. Let's talk about the date of December 25th, first of all. Many non-believers are more than happy to point out that December 25th is not the historical birth of Jesus, and that this date is found nowhere in Scripture. They'll also enthusiastically go on to claim that this really is in fact the long celebrated birthday of numerous heathen sun gods. In order to accurately represent the one true God of the scriptures, we need to be able to be intellectually honest and take a real careful look at the historical and scriptural facts concerning Christmas. The high day of ancient sun worship historically occurred every December 25th, when the sun displayed its unconquerability, when it began to rise high.
Nice chemtrails.
Higher in the sky following the winter solstice. Hence, December 25th was celebrated as the sun's birthday. This pagan religious practice was the first historical observance of December 25th as being a holy day. So we can go back to the beginning of the story and take a look at really the first Christmas. The story, a lot of people don't realize it's a lot older than we think, actually begins over 4,000 years ago in the land of Shinar, also called Babylon. Nimrod. According to the book of Genesis, he was the great grandson of Noah and was the king of Shinar, Babylon. He is depicted in the Bible as both being a man of power and a mighty hunter. He also appears in numerous legends and folktales outside the Bible as well. It was King Nimrod who led the first world revolt against God after the flood, when he established the Babylonian world tyranny and constructed the infamous Tower of Babel. Nimrod actually married his own mother, whose name was Semiramis. Nimrod's birthday was December 25th, the same day considered by pagans to be the birth of the sun. Nimrod was pretty much adored by it.
That just starting off is kind of wild. That Nimrod's birthday was supposedly December 25th, as well as the sun.
By his people as a god. Considered by many historians to have been the first sun god, upon which all the other sun god legends were based upon.
I know.
This Nimrod story.
I hear you, cuz.
After God destroyed the Tower of Babel, Nimrod was, according to a lot of legends, was killed by Noah's son Shem in his...
It will be brought up in here, Natasha. It will be brought up.
His body was castrated and his parts were spread all across the land of Shinar. After Nimrod's death, his widowed mother wife, so-called Semiramis, she claimed that she had become impregnated by the rays of the sun. And later, that next December 25th, baby Tammuz was born. Baby Tammuz is in the scriptures, a lot of places too. They're worshiping baby Tammuz, weeping for baby Tammuz, and God didn't like that too much. As you know, he was born again as the reincarnated sun god of Nimrod. Semiramis also claimed that a full-grown evergreen tree sprang overnight from a dead stump, which symbolized the re-erection of the new penis of Nimrod, or in other words, the springing forth of new life. On each anniversary of his birth, every December 25th, Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts upon it. That's where a lot of the Yule log comes from that they'd throw in the fire, and then the next day it would be re-erected as the full tree, and the serpent was wrapped around it. That's where that comes from, that story of Nimrod. In Egypt, after God confounded the languages at the Tower of Babel, the story of Nimrod, Semiramis, and baby Tammuz was spread across the earth in over 70 languages. In Egypt, Horus, the son of Isis, the Egyptian title for the Queen of Heaven, was born at this very same time of December 25th. In accordance with the story of Nimrod, ancient Egyptians used to bring trees into their homes for their winter solstice festivals, in which children placed gifts at the bottom, and Sirius, the dog star, really a representation of Anubis, was placed at the top of the tree. The Egyptians even dipped balls in gold and silver. They'd cut testicles off animals or sacrifices, and they'd hang them from their trees. It represented the testicles of their sun god Ra, like a fertility kind of deal. One of the early roots of the modern Christmas character Santa Claus was actually the god Molech, or Chemosh. Every December 25th on the ancient calendar, this is recorded in the Bible too, a public child mass or sacrifice was held. The head priest would stoke this iron image of the enthroned Molech with wood and burning pitch, and they turn it into this giant glowing red furnace. And then the people, they'd take and make a long list of the desires that they wanted, and they'd recite them to their God.
I was going to say, didn't Nimrod represent Babylon? And I'm pretty sure.
Out of prosperity, just before they put their infant children into the red hot lap of the glowing red god. And he was wearing a Phrygian cap too, just like Santa Claus. That Phrygian cap, that was one of the caps on the
I
statues.
miss, how
But
you
very
doing?
interesting similarity. That's actually the roots of the Santa Claus character. It kind of sick. The priests would interpret revelations through the screaming of the burning babies. So they'd get these revelations from their God through the screams of these babies. Kind of sick. In Rome, there was the largest pagan religion which fostered sun worship in the Greek and Roman worlds at this time was the cult of Mithraism.
It says the well-known solar feast of Natalis Invicti, celebrated on 25th of December, has a strong claim on the responsibility for our December date. The history of the solar cult, its position in the Roman Empire, and its syncretism with Mithraism. Oops, I don't know what I just did. Hold on, guys. What did I just do? Oh, I know what I did. Okay. Let me span this. The well-known solar feast. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was just muting it to get to the music part of it all.
Mithra, like the other sun gods, was supposedly born on December 25th as well. They call it the nativity of the sun. The Romans separated this winter holiday into several different parts. They first from the 17th
Daniel,
to
what's
the 21st
up, buddy?
of December was Saturnalia, a riotous feast laden with drunkenness and violent orgies. Second on the 22nd, they had the second feast, which was Sigillaria, or they called it the Feast of Dolls, when a fair was held.
Daniel.
And dolls and other toys, mostly of earthenware, were given to children. Then on December 25th came Brumalia, otherwise called Dies Natalis Invicti Solis, or the birthday of the unconquered sun. This is when the days begin to lengthen after the solstice. So you see there's interchange of presence. That it all rings very true of what kind of we see today. There's numerous winter solstice practices involving gift giving, riotous drinking, decorated trees. The child sacrifice rituals are practiced throughout pagan Europe.
The tree part really gets me. I usually never participate in any of that stuff. I have the past couple years just to be with the family, being that I have like younger nephews and nieces now. But I never used to ever participate in this stuff forever.
From tree decorated in Germany to Thor pulling the magical sleigh across the sky in Scandinavia, most of the Christmas traditions we are familiar with today share these same roots with King Nimrod. Really is where it all started.
Miss knows I can't stand Christmas. I really can't. Miss knows. Everybody gets so. This is like I've actually been more. Not because of Christmas like itself, but like I like Christmas, like the actual being with the family part I do like, but like Christmas, like the meaning of it. My mom wanted me to do a prayer this morning and, trying to incorporate Jesus to Christmas, and I could do that. But, she was going, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking because it's truly a pagan holiday. But we all can still have faith and have it and, celebrate it and for different reasons. But this is still what it was. Why'd you have to put that, bro? Is that how you're feeling? Feeling a little zesty today? Merry Christmas.
Then around 2,000 years ago, the world was changed forever. The one in which Moses spoke of, the Son of the living God, the Messiah, he was born in the town of Bethlehem in the land of Israel. Interestingly, this new Messiah was the only one whose date of birth was uniquely separate from all the other pagan messiahs before him. Most historical and scriptural evidence suggests that he was actually born during the Feast of Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles, when the Word was made flesh and tabernacled, or in the Greek, dwelt among us. That actually puts the birth of the Jewish Messiah, commonly known as Jesus of Nazareth, in the month of Tishri, which would be Septemberish, totally separate from the December 25th sun god birth dates. The apostles in the early Christian church, they abstained from adulterating themselves against their God by participating in these ancient Babylonian sun god festivities. In their scriptures, their God had clearly warned them that doing such actions, in his name especially, were really an abomination to him. Look up the word abomination.
I can't read what that says. Babylon, December 25th. I can't read that. My eyes are so bad. Be careful not to be insured by inquiring about their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of, it looks like detestable things the Lord hates. And that looks like it. I can't read what that says. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully you guys can. Anyone who does these disdainable things, such persons must be cut off from their people. Keep my requirements and do not follow any of these detestable customs that were practical before you came, and do not defile yourselves with them. Leviticus 18. Learn not the way of the heathen, and because oops, way too much. My bad, guys. Oh well.
The apostles in the early Christian church, they abstained from adulterating themselves.
Did I already show this?
Their God by participating in these ancient Babylonian sun god festivities. In their scriptures, their God had clearly warned them that doing such actions, in his name especially, were really an abomination to him. Look up the word abomination.
Yeah, I already showed this. All right, sorry guys.
Despite his decrees, really, Constantine himself was a loyal follower of the new popular Roman soldiers cult from Persia, Mithraism. Mithraism is, it's like many of the other Babylonian sun worship religions. They regularly grow by absorbing and mixing in with the new popular religions as they come along. When the Mithraic priests in Rome were converted to Christians at the stroke of Constantine's pen, they naturally modified their Mithraic religion to adapt to the Rome's new Christian denomination. Many of the old Roman gods were just given like new Christian names, although a majority of the Mithraic religious practices and traditions actually remained completely intact. Constantine, although he's Christian in name, he was really a follower of Mithra until the day he died. You can find bronze coins inscribed "Sol Invictus Mithra." They're minted by Saint Constantine between the 313 and 326. After his supposed Christian conversion in 312, Saint Constantine later died in 337. Mithra, the god of Mithraism, his birth, as were all the other Babylonian sun gods, was celebrated on December 25th. But with the new Christian denomination for the Roman Empire, the feast of Sol Invictus Mithra was then celebrated in honor of the new Christ. So they just switched it from Mithra to Christ, just the name. The first mention of December 25th is being celebrated as the date of Jesus's birth is found, I think, in early Roman calendars from 336. Judging by Constantine's edicts, he seemed to kind of favor Mithraism more than he seemed to favor the Christian church in a lot of ways. By his laws, he issued a lot of really strict edicts banning all the Hebrew feasts and weekly Sabbaths, which Jesus and his apostles and the early church had all kept. But anyone who went against Constantine's edicts and tried to do any of these things, which they sounded Jewish, they suffered greatly, sometimes under penalty of death. Soon thereafter, the removal of the Hebrew scriptures from the hands of the lay people, which the Hebrew scriptures strictly prohibit the practice of paganism in the face of God, especially. I mean, just removing the scriptures helped to quell any opposition to the melding of paganism with Christianity that took place later on. Christmas was celebrated pretty much after that as the birth of Jesus by most of the church for a long time, pretty much until the reintroduction of the scriptures in the native tongues during the Reformation. Christmas before the late 1800s was really wild. I mean, you had violence and drunkenness, rioting, widespread orgies, pretty much.
Sounds like what's going on right now, to be honest.
Much echo to the holiday's ancient pagan roots. There were even times the midwinter bash got so out of control that Christmas in many cases was totally banned. When Oliver Cromwell and his Puritan forces took over England in 1645, they vowed to rid English of decadence, and as part of
but why did they ban Christmas? Because literally, why?
Their effort, they outlawed Christmas. Later, by popular demand, Charles II was restored to the throne, and with it,
because didn't all the liberals try to outlaw Christmas? Come on, dude. There's always somebody trying to spoil somebody's fun.
Came the return of the popular holiday. A lot of people are kind of surprised also to learn that Christmas was not a popular holiday in early America. The Pilgrims, they're the English separatists that came to America in like 1620. They were well aware of the chaotic behavior associated with Christmas back in Europe. From like 1659 to 1681, the celebration of Christmas was actually outlawed in Boston. Anyone exhibiting the Christmas spirit was fined 5 shillings. Even Congress was in session on December 25th in 1789, the first Christmas under America's new Constitution. Christmas wasn't even declared a federal holiday until June 26, 1870. It wasn't until a lot later when you had a lot more corporate advertising from companies like Coca-Cola and these popular poems came out like The Night Before Christmas. These things had a huge influence on the tone of Christmas in modern America. Christmas today in America has become centered on materialism, really, where the main focal point of the holiday is on fulfilling, the dream of more stuff. Many argue that this is not the case. However, one needs only to measure the levels of enthusiasm expressed in children, for the Christmas's different components. I mean, all you have to do is go ask a child on Christmas what he's so excited about, and you'll quickly learn that his glowing eyes are all about the Nintendo Wii or the new Tickle Me Elmo. Whatever kids may be trained to say by their parents or pastors, this is the real fruit, the real proof of what's possible on this year. There's a lot of really, really good, loving Christian people who really sincerely do love the Lord. They've never heard of these things. They've never studied the historical origins of these traditions. I don't want to come down too hard on anybody, but now, considering the unprecedented falling away from the church and atheism, it is vitally important that we check ourselves. We have to come to grips with the reality of this issue. Continuing to associate our Messiah with these ancient heathen practices and some of these ridiculous fairy tales is only really accelerating this falling away from the church, especially with the youth. This new generation is not investing its heart and soul in what it perceives to be an obsolete fiction that demands their attention. The Christian church today doesn't have the monopoly on our attention that it used to have maybe more than 50 years ago. The church today is competing with a entertainment saturated type society where these old fairy tales are not going to really cut it anymore. They're going to have to come to grips with and embrace the reality of who Jesus really was.
What up, brother?
Rather than insisting that the lies we inherited from our fathers are somehow true. It is an irrefutable historical fact that Christmas, its date of December 25th, the decorated tree, the majority of its traditions, are a continuation of Nimrod's Babylonian winter solstice sun worship festivals that were later modified to engulf and absorb Christianity into itself. However well-meaning quoting the soundbite that Jesus is the reason for the season may be, that soundbite really has become atheist rocket fuel. And also, if you just consider the facts and the reality.
What's up, Bot Boy? How you doing, man? Is this entertaining? Part of me is like, I don't know. I started watching it and I was like, well, I'm gonna just watch it with you guys. I'll fall asleep watching it. I'm like, I don't know. Who's entertained? Press 1 if you're entertained.
Reality. It is that soundbite is also bearing a gross false witness against the true Son of God in lowering him to the same level as the sick, twisted heathen sun gods, which his people continuously battle with throughout the entire scriptures. I mean, any kid with the ability to read can quickly pick up an encyclopedia or a world religion textbook and quickly learn that the focal point of the entire Christian year has been stolen directly from ancient paganism. I mean, millions of young people who learn these historical facts, that they quickly assimilate Jesus with all the other sun gods, thanks in part to the unwitting insistence of the various denominations that Jesus is the reason for the season. And children of this generation aren't settling with fairy tales anymore. They're discarding them. Due to a repeated stubbornness in our adulteration with this Babylonian paganism over the centuries,
Classic Rat Rods.
is now
What's up,
perceived by
buddy?
a majority of Christians to be a fairy tale. I mean, if you study the polls asking Christians, even pastors, what they really believe, you'll see what I'm talking about. Christianity has become a cultural feather in the hat, like a dash of color or a family heirloom. God to most Christians is no longer a reality, as proven by our disobedience to God's most fundamental requirement that we do not commit adultery.
Rat rods, I would like to know, to be honest. I really would.
Adultery against him with other gods. The bride of Christ needs to be faithful to her husband. Many people ask, why would we tie the birth of our Messiah to the birth of the ancient Babylonian anti-Messiah and then unwittingly follow in the shadows those ancient child sacrifice rituals in the entire catastrophe? So we need to ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? Well, we should no longer leave it up to our wild imagination to decide for ourselves what Jesus would do. We need to consider the scriptures and see, what did Jesus do? We don't want to rationalize and conjure up excuses anymore. We want to walk in truth. So let's ask ourselves the question, what did Jesus do? Did Jesus ever celebrate Christmas himself? No, he was a Jew. He kept the feast instructed by his father. If you read through the Gospels, you'll see how Jesus actually expounded on the feast. Many of his greatest sermons were done at his father's feasts. The only thing Jesus celebrated in December was Hanukkah. When choosing how to live as Christians, we should follow his example. Jesus celebrated, taught, and lived his father's feasts. So let's ask ourselves another one. Would Jesus...
If that's the case, obviously we are, I know I've been questioning my, the organized religion, but it's kind of crazy. If this is, if all this is right, then why do the churches celebrate it so hard and nobody notices? I feel like so many people know the Bible. I've heard this. I've heard it a lot of times, but I feel like, how are so many people fooled?
Ever celebrate Nimrod's birthday of December 25th by symbolically re-erecting the symbol of Nimrod's cut-off penis in the form of a fir tree? Obviously not. But the reality is most Christians today do. A lot of people have the reply, but that's not what Christmas means to me. It doesn't matter where these things come from as long as we do it for the Lord. But unfortunately, that excuse has been tried before. Remember the golden calf below Mount Sinai, Exodus chapter 32? Aaron gathered up all the gold and the earrings and the rings and all the jewelry, and he fashioned together this golden calf. And then he made the specific proclamation and said, "Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord." How did God respond to this pagan holiday done in his name? He was furious. He wanted to wipe out the entire camp. But God ended up having mercy on the camp. And it only ended up costing the lives of 3,000 men. And don't forget that this generation didn't get to enter into the promised land. No, Jesus warned us that we err and that we do not know the scriptures. Let's consider another scriptural example of this. Remember when King Saul lost the kingdom for attempting to offer up to the Lord only the very best of what he had recovered after conquering the Amalekites, after being clearly instructed to destroy every last vestige of paganism from the land. God doesn't appreciate these kinds of offerings. It has been written over and over and over and over again. How many times will it take for us to remember it? Some people, when you talk about these things, they'll have another excuse that you'll hear is, "But I have little children." Okay, now we have to sit and think this one through. So we would knowingly teach our children to celebrate the birthday of the Babylonian sun god by observing Nimrod's phallic evergreen re-erection ceremonies, and then put them through the watered-down shadow pictures of ancient child sacrifices, all in the name of our Lord. And that's not it. I mean, then we're going to completely ignore all the feasts that God put into place, all the holidays
We still haven't even gotten into Santa Claus, right? We haven't gotten into Santa Claus. That's what I'm interested in here.
That teach us about his love because we don't want to look Jewish. Others even say, well, I don't want to cause a ruckus with my parents, Well, let's listen to what Jesus says. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. I mean, are we going to follow the world or are we going to follow God? The scriptural metaphor for this is the broad and the narrow path. I mean, are we going to follow the majority of the world and just go down the broad path, the easy path? Don't make a ruckus, just follow.
I was watching a Google commercial today, miss, and it was this little girl lost her like favorite doll, and it was like this like walking, talking robot doll. And they're like, "Oh, are we gonna tell her? Are we just gonna say whatever the name of the doll was? Let's just call it Ryan. Ryan went on vacation. Let's just tell her Ryan went on vacation." And then they're like, made an AI video. They're like made up this whole story of what this doll was doing to tell their kid. And then they like literally, it was hilarious. I was thinking like, I just like everything went through my head. Like they're like, make this AI video of the doll talking to the kid in a spacesuit on the moon, saying that they went to the moon and they'll be back later on, like 7 months or something like that. I forget, like sometime soon. I was like, man, they even used the moon in it. It was definitely lying to your, basically like normalizing lying to your kid, no problem.
Along what everyone else does.
Oops, keep doing this.
We're going to have lots of company, but the path leads to destruction. Or are we going to turn aside and follow the shepherd up the narrow path? Not very many people coming with you, but you're following the shepherd. And that path leads to everlasting life. So now that we know these things, we have to make the choice of whom we love more, God and his word, or his enemy, Babylon the Great. The one in whom we obey is the one in whom we really love. The hard part about delivering this particular message is that after you deliver these facts and people do the research and they find out their history and they ask their pastors if these things are really so, and they come to the same conclusions, they know the reality, but they just can't make it past that blinking pine tree they love so much. And then they turn their back on God. Unfortunately, this is a message that today has to be delivered. There's just too many young people falling away from the faith because they think that their Messiah is a sun god. When he is not a sun god, he is completely and beautifully unique from all the Babylonian anti-messiahs. We don't want to bear false witness against our God anymore. We don't want to commit adultery against our Father anymore. And I am confident that if people just find out who the Messiah really was, rather than cleaving to the lies handed down to us by our forefathers, they're going to find out that God is much more beautiful. Messiah warned us that following him is not going to make us popular. A lot of people have the misconception that if you really love Jesus and you follow him, that life is just going to be a wonderful experience. But he actually warned us to the contrary. But he gives some encouragement as well. He said, stand up for me against world opinion, and I will stand up for you before my Father in heaven.
I'm gonna go live after this and do some like reactions to some other stuff. I feel like going a little bit, like doing a little more, but I can't really do it to this. It's not the right. I'm not playing the music, but pagan sun worship. His life is too meaningful to be diluted with that kind of awfulness or something like that. Ryan, what are you doing? What are you doing after this? Do you want to go live and actually like, I don't know, react to some stuff? I got some stuff.
Sure.
Is that guitar really necessary for this? I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering, is it really that necessary? It's like intermission. Beware of the heavens for your fairness. Follow no man, rather follow the world of God. And fight for righteousness. What's up, Reed? I don't know what to say about you, bro. I don't know what to say about you, bruh. Stream. Yeah, I think I'm going to. He's still his balls. Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and I'm gonna do a different stream. I'll talk to you guys for just a hot minute, but I'm gonna start a different stream. I've got some stuff about Operation Buckeye. I've got a video of, yeah, I'm gonna come back on, bro. I've got a video of a dude in Ohio who called, bro. I got some good videos to react to that'll be a little more funny and stuff. Um yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I feel like I don't know, man. There's just like music going in and out. It's just narrated by one person. I thought it would be way more. It would be a little bit more informative. It is, but it's just too dull for me, man. I like a little more humor, and I do like your jokes, dog. I just can't joke around, and I think we got the point that it's a pagan holiday, and that, it doesn't really, in my opinion, I'm going to continue to say it doesn't matter if you still celebrate it, though. I went and celebrated it with my family. I went and celebrated it with my, I went and got a tree. I went and did all the stuff, but it was in the name of God. It was in the name of with my family, and I feel like at the end of the day, Jesus or God or whoever your higher power is would rather you be with your family doing things like that than sitting at home. So whether you're celebrating around a tree or you guys are just conversing, eating good food, whatever it is that you do, I feel like that's the that's the meaning of this day. No matter who you are, what you do around the world, that should be the meaning of this day. What did one pastor say to the other pastor? Hey, pastor, we got we got Christmas, and then we got New Year's. Just like we lack what's it called? We lack holidays from like July. Like there's only like a few from like July until there's like Thanksgiving. I think there's only like one. So but I'm definitely gonna come back on. Hit one if you guys are gonna come back through. Ryan, you want to come on or what, bro? Is Ryan even in here, you guys? All right. Well, all right. Well, get your hat on. Get ready. We're gonna get ready. Roll one up. Don't be gay. Rat Rod, save your jokes, cause we getting up out of here, bro. Keeks, I ended it, but I'm gonna come back on and do something else. So I'm gonna restart another stream. So later, y'all. Love y'all. I will see you guys in a few minutes. Let me get a different stream together. All right, y'all. Peace. Merry Christmas. No pun intended. God bless.